Laser sights will make you a more accurate and confident shooter by providing visual feedback on sight alignment and trigger control. Crimson Trace, making laser sights standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
Welcome to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, where a right is always a right, not a privilege.
All right, welcome back. Happy Father's Day. Tom Gresham here. It's we're just having some fun talking about, well, guns and ammo and, of course, gun rights, self-defense with guns. A lot of stories about that. According to most of the data out there, it seems like it's about 6,000 times a day people use guns in self-defense. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, if that were true, I'd be reading about it. Well, most of the time, they don't have to pull the trigger. Most of the time, when you pull a gun out and point it at a bad guy who's trying to hurt you, bad guy stops, kind of changes behavior, then changes location, runs away. Win-win. Now, quick note. If you do that, if that happens to you, and this is important, so pay attention, you do need to call 911. Yeah, I know, the guy ran away. You still need to call 911 because that guy is going to be calling 911. He's going to say, this crazy dude or this crazy woman pulled a gun on me and I wasn't doing anything. And now they're looking for the crazy person with a gun. That'd be you. It's a race. First person to call 911 gets to be the victim. And a lot of these career criminals get it. They understand that. So if you have to pull your gun out, even if you don't have to shoot, even if you think, well, the problem's over, why bother, call 911. First of all, it protects you. You get to be the victim, but also the police want to know what's going on. They want to know who this person is. Chances are they know who this person is. They have a relationship with this person. That's kind of how that whole thing works. 866-TALK-GUN. If you got a story about your dad and guns and shooting and your first gun, love to hear that. When we started this radio show some almost 25 years ago, there were not a lot of voices out there. I was in the magazine business, magazine editor, magazine writer, photographer, and you had magazines that came out once a month. But there weren't a lot of other avenues for gun rights talk or information. And talk radio was perfect for that. And so we did that. And it was new, it was different. Now there are so many ways of getting the word out. It is wonderful to see how many people have jumped in on this. And a lot of them are doing a great job. One of them joins us right now. Rob Morse joins us from Slow Facts. Hello, Rob. Welcome to Gun Talk.
Hello, Tom. Great to talk with you.
Absolutely. So first of all, tell me what Slow Facts is.
Oh, you know, you've you've looked at social media. Fast opinions come and go. I decided I wanted to talk about things that were permanent, things that didn't change. I called the blog Slow Facts.
Okay, now you do the blog, but you also have other ways of getting the information out, right?
I put out a story very, very much like some of the stories you tell, where we say, wow, this ordinary person defended themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a training class where I thought that was fantastic, and my instructor tapped me on the shoulder. He said, was that defender, were they lucky or were they good? Was that best practice or did the odds just rolled in their favor? That podcast is called Self-Defense Gun Stories. I'm also on the Polite Society podcast.
Right, the Polite Society podcast, and spreading the news about successful self-defense gun uses, sometimes having to pull the trigger, sometimes not having to do that.
Right.
You know the drill. A lot of people think, well, that just doesn't happen that often, or you guys make this up. But as you keep digging, you realize it's happening all the time, every day, all over the country. And the more we get that information out, that's got to be good for all of us on the gun rights side.
Absolutely. You're an accredited journalist. You went to school for it. I'm still trying to catch up to what you learned in about sophomore year.
I'm trying to overcome that.
You've had assignment editors. Hey, there was a local self-defense story. Okay, we'll use that. He wouldn't use a self-defense story from across the state, certainly not from across the nation. Now, if it were an assault where people shot and injured, oh, well, that's interesting. So there's a bias for the dramatic.
Well, and if there's a story of a child finding a gun and getting hurt with it, it doesn't matter where that happens. That becomes news, even though it's not a local story. And yet, in that very location where the story is being told, there may have been 10 or 20 or 100 people over the last month or two who used guns in self-defense, no coverage whatsoever.
Well, and that made me, Tom, I want to jump to an article I wrote, if you don't mind. I think we're disarming the wrong people, and we're costing lives by disarming the good guys. Should I go down that way?
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Well, look, we have 23,000 firearms regulations. The cost of concealed carry, the number of hours that are demanded in some states before you get your permit, we've disarmed 10 million people. When I ran the numbers, I worked with John Lott, it was a little more. Mm-hmm. When we compare states where it's really hard to get, you can do it. It takes work, takes a couple days of classes. Mm-hmm. Well, those disarmed people become disarmed victims when they're attacked. We've got, I looked up the FBI stats last night, 300,000 aggravated assaults each year. You talked about 1 million people a year being attacked, and we've disarmed so many of them with gun control. We saw
That's
an example
a really interesting take. What you're saying is that the very requirement of having to get a permit, of having to take a class to get your concealed carry permit, keeps good, otherwise, people who are responsible, good people, from getting those permits, keeps them from being able to protect themselves with a gun. And now we have the control, because we used to say that was true, but now we have the control group, which would be the states that have constitutional carry, where nothing is required. And so now we see how many people are carrying there, and we compare that with the people who are carrying in states where it's restricted. We go, a lot of people are actually being prohibited or prevented from doing this. That is a fascinating piece of research you're doing there.
Well, it was painfully brought home. This poor gal at the Virginia Beach Municipal Center who told her husband, man, I'm afraid of my coworker. I want to carry a gun, but if my boss finds out, I'll get fired.
Kate
so
Nixon,
we know at least one person who died because of gun control.
Yeah, she the night before the Virginia Beach murders, she told her husband, I think I want to take my gun in my purse, even though I know it's not allowed, because I'm afraid of this very person, the person who ended up killing everybody. She knew about him. She knew he was a problem. And then she said, no, I'm not going to do that. And before you got on with me, I said, that's a repeat of 25 years ago of Susanna Gracia Hupp, Luby's Cafeteria, not taking her gun into the restaurant and then watching a madman kill both of her parents right in front of her because she didn't have the gun where she could have stopped him.
It is. And we think, because fortunately, we have to keep in perspective, violence is rare, self-defense is rare, but wow, when we need it, we really need it. And when we add up across 300 million citizens in the United States, we're talking about tens of thousands of attacks where people should have been armed and weren't because of gun control.
And we're talking about, so that people can kind of get a grasp on this, because they're saying, well, you're not talking about that many people getting murdered, are you? I said, well, no, but we are talking about people who might have been murdered, might have been attacked, might have been beaten, and most certainly have been raped when they could have protected themselves with a firearm, whether or not they had to shoot somebody. It's amazing how a rapist changes his mind when he's faced with the muzzle of a gun.
I went and looked up those numbers from the FBI. That column is 0. Armed defenders in sexual assaults don't get raped.
Just don't get raped, period. And we know how prominent or prevalent rape is in this country. And you would think that the women's groups would be screaming for women to be able to protect themselves with an effective tool, and nothing, by all the data, all the research, whether it's government or university level stuff, nothing is as effective as a handgun.
You and I, because I know you've taken a lot of people to the range, You've met young ladies who said, I was sexually assaulted. That's why I carry every day. I wish it never happened, but it's common enough that you and I have met the victims.
And if you want to see somebody who is really, really serious about training, about self-defense with a gun, you get a woman who has been sexually assaulted, and it's not a game. There's an intensity in the eyes that you just don't see in most people, and good on them. I just tell you, they've made that decision that they're going to take responsibility for their own safety. And you also hear it from them, and you hear it all the time, Rob, where they say, you know what, and I don't care what the law is. I don't care what the gun-free zone sign is. Don't care, going to ignore it, and I'll just take whatever comes because I am not going to be without my gun now.
You also hear them in state legislatures where they come to testify. And they say, you disarmed me when I walked on campus. You disarmed me as I had to pass through this gun-free zone, and I won't put up with it anymore. And the legislators quit playing games on their phone, and their eyes get real big. God bless the women who stand up for the Second Amendment.
Absolutely. Rob, tell people where they can read all the good stuff that you're writing and what you're doing with the podcast. And by the way, for those who didn't quite catch it, the Polite Society podcast, that is, Polite Society comes from the Robert Heinlein quote, an armed society is a polite society.
My writing is at slowfacts.wordpress.com. I do Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast, comes out once a week. It's a snack food of a podcast, less than 20 minutes typically. And then once a week, we have the Polite Society podcast that runs on an hour and change each week.
Excellent. I mean, it's just wonderful that we have all these different venues and ways to get information out, and more people hearing this message and understanding that they're not alone out there, and there is information, and there's a community that they can be a part of. So good on you for being a part of it.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it very much. All right, 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. We are open lines for your stories. Your dad, your first gun, going out shooting with your father, and basically who got you started. 866-TALK-GUN.
When the U.S. military's elite units and law enforcement agencies across the globe demanded innovation and reliability, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. When world champion professional shooters demanded precision accuracy, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. So it's no surprise more and more civilian gun owners are refusing to settle for anything less. They're choosing Sig Sauer firearms, ammunition, electro-optics, suppressors, air guns, and training. Sig Sauer. Never settle.
For 25 years, Crimson Trace has led the industry in laser and light technology and customer service. Now, Crimson Trace is proud to offer electronic sights and rifle scopes for tactical, target, and hunting applications, with the same Crimson Trace offer of free batteries for life on all products. The new rifle scope line is also backed by an unconditional lifetime warranty from the brand that you have trusted for over 2 decades. Find out more at crimsontrace.com.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water, but perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
Founded with the singular purpose of building fine sporting firearms, Kimber creates a handgun for every person and a rifle for every adventure. While embracing modern manufacturing techniques, every Kimber depends on practiced hands for assembly, fit, and finish. There's no compromise in features, materials, or performance. Synonymous with quality, precision, and excellence, and made in America. Kimber is what all guns should be. Visit KimberAmerica.com. That's KimberAmerica.com.
Hey, 2 questions about Dad. It's going to predict what he loves for Father's Day. First question is your dad a gadget guy? Well, yes. Okay. Second question, does your dad worry about keeping the family safe and the home secure? Yes. Well, then it's Dad's Day, and it's a no-brainer, okay? You'll be a star if you get Dad Blink Security Systems. And if you hurry, you'll save 20% on all indoor camera systems. Blink motion-activated cameras are wire-free, set up in minutes, and run on 2 lithium batteries that last up to 2 years. They even have a live feed option, so Dad can monitor the home and check in on the family and pets from anywhere with the Blink smartphone app. No monthly contracts, totally affordable, and right now through Father's Day, okay, pay attention, that's today, all right, June 16th, Blink indoor cameras and systems are 20% off. Home security just got easier. Score the perfect Father's Day gift at blinkprotect.com/guntalk. blinkprotect.com/guntalk. Blink cameras are available on Amazon and at Best Buy. Blink is an Amazon company, and it works with Alexa. Let's see here. I have to... Everybody just stay on hold. Don't go anywhere. But I have to share this story. Evidently, I've never heard of her before. There is a national advice columnist, Ask Amy. Okay. And she had this piece this week. And I'm going to read you the whole thing just because it's from somebody who signed it, Dumbfounded Father. I think dumb certainly works. Dear Amy, this week I discovered that my intelligent, hardworking, responsible 24-year-old daughter who lives with me is a gun owner, ! And it's not a normal gun either. It is a .40 caliber semi-automatic, and she has hollow point bullets to go with it. Amy, this is the kind of weapon a criminal would possess. She says it's only for emergencies. There have been only 2 home invasions in our neighborhood in the last 11 years. I've given her 3 choices. She can either give her weapon to me, sell it, or move out in 3 weeks. I love my daughter and would be so sad for her to move into a place that she could hardly be able to afford, but now I have to lock my bedroom door at night because I don't know what she's going to do. Now she says that I don't trust her and is barely speaking to me. How can I convince her to stop endangering us? Signed, Dumbfounded Father. Amy's response, Dear Dumbfounded. Wait. You may want to wrap duct tape around your head now because there's going to be a tendency for it to try to explode. Dear Dumbfounded, according to my research, possessing hollow point bullets is illegal in 11 states. Is it illegal in your state to own this sort of exploding ammunition? Yeah, that's what she said. In a report published in 2015, researchers at the University of Chicago found that 31% of households reported having a firearm in 2014, down from 48% in 1980. According to this study, there are more guns, but concentrated in fewer households. Why must your household be one of them? Where did your daughter get the weapon and ammunition? Has she received any safety training or certification? Accidental gun death is a substantial risk of owning a gun, she adds. Is she perhaps engaged in another activity outside of your household that exposes her to increased risk and makes her believe she needs to have a weapon? I have news for you. A locked bedroom door is no match for this weaponry. As I write this, just 5 days ago, a father in South Carolina tragically shot and killed his own 23-year-old daughter through a closed door. I agree with your ultimatum. I also weep that there is yet another gun owner in this country. Hollow point bullets, exploding ammunition. The beauty of it is watching this person, this Amy, on Twitter, say, I am very proud to have upset all these gun owners with my column. I actually answered and I said, it's not that we particularly have a problem with your opinion. I mean, that's your opinion. The problem is that you're saying things that are demonstrably untrue. That is, they are false. And you're proud of being ignorant. That's not a good position for anyone. But it does give you an idea of where a lot of people are. They actually think that stuff is true. So just be aware that the misinformation is out there. It's everywhere, and it's deeply ingrained, and they really do feel superior to you. And if you try to explain, well, actually, factually, you're incorrect, they think you're doing some form of mansplaining to them, and it's totally dismissed, even though you know much more about the subject than they do. It makes it difficult, and that's why you have to get better. We have to get better at our arguments. And frankly, we stop talking, in many cases, about rights because they're not persuaded by that, and you start talking about what works. Does that actually work? Do you have any data that shows that works? And of course, then you have to have your data at hand because they're going to quote the Bloomberg-funded Moms Demand goofballs. Anyway, let's see here. Tell you what, we probably don't have time to get a caller in. If you guys, I've got you on hold. Don't go anywhere, okay? We're going to get to you because I want to give you plenty of time for this. But I had to share the story about dumbfounded. That's what it was. Dumbfounded father. It was just there. I just wanted to say it, but I'm not going to. The whole. She has a gun. She is an adult, and he is going to kick her out of the house. And now he's locking his door because he's afraid he doesn't know what she will do. Well, you know what? If you don't know what your daughter's going to do, if you're afraid of her going lethal, then having a gun or not having a gun is really not the issue. You have some other issues going on here. And maybe you might want to get informed and not ask some idiotic national, advice person who knows zippo nothing about guns or gun safety or personal security. But then again, they deserve each other. You got the clueless, trying to help out the unhelpful. I don't know what to do with that. 866 Talk Gun.
This is Milo Lardbottom, Junior Under Assistant Deputy to the Assistant Director of Deputy Affairs for the Department of Homeland Security, with a special message for listeners of Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. We know who you are. We know where you are. You're right by your radio. We have special cameras that can see into your radio. I have a special monitor built into my aluminum foil helmet. We are watching you, so don't try anything funny, Buster.
All right, I've been calling for it, and we got lots of folks who have called in and want to talk about their dads and about everything else. If you're on hold, don't go anywhere. We're going to get to you right now. We're starting off with Dan, line 3, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. First time shooting with your dad. Dan, talk to me.
We were living in Reno, Nevada at the time. I was 9 years old, and we drove out into the desert where everybody went to shoot, and there was it was a circular road, and you went in one side, and it was one way. So the first time ever shot a gun, it was in 1911. We shot it. Wow. We shot a 30-06 Springfield military rifle. We shot all of our ammo, and when we got done, we pulled out, and as we were pulling out, just around the corner, there sitting beside the road was an untouched television set, and we had no more ammo. We were so disappointed we didn't get to shoot up the television set.
That's just the way it is sometimes there. Oh, Dan, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Great story. Let's talk to Chase on line 4 out of Fillmore, Utah. Chase, you're up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to my dad for getting me introduced to firearms. And I think that was the way that he really showed me that he loved me and, how he spent time with me. And I think there's a lot of good that comes from guns than just, the being able to defend yourself or hunting, or it was a way for him to help me understand how that he loved me and that he spent time with me and how to be a good citizen. And one of those things was going to the gun stores every Saturday morning and looking and dreaming about guns. But he weaved into those discussions.
Yeah, let me ask you, how old were you when he introduced you where you could actually go out and shoot for the first time?
You know, the first time I remember shooting like a 22 was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe 8, somewhere around there.
Let me ask you, I think that whether it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl, son or daughter, there is a point at which if you get introduced to shooting, something happens where you realize, okay, I'm now being trusted with something powerful. I now have to accept a level of responsibility that I was not given before. And whether you call it a rite of passage or something else, it is a real demarcation point, is it not?
I agree 100%.
I mean, I remember thinking, okay, I'm being trusted with something very powerful now, and I have to do this right. And I've been taught, but I know that there are eyes on me, and I will be judged by this. And so, I mean, it's a pretty cool thing when you're introduced to it the right way. Thank you, Chase. I appreciate you passing that along. We got lots of folks wanting to tell their stories. Also, Joe's on line 1 out of Florida. Got to talk about guns and no gun zones. What do you think here, Joe?
Yeah, I worked for a military contractor that has a gun-free zone. Now, this military contractor builds CH-47 jihadi killers, and there's 4 of them in the hangar the whole time. And it's protected by a chain-link fence, 16-gauge sheet metal hangar, usually that's open, 2 each unarmed guards who never search employees coming in, and, oh, by the way, a gun-free zone sign on the front door. And 2 employees were recently fired for threatening behavior in the last 2 years. And every day I risk my job ignoring that sign and using my concealed carry license by carrying my 9mm in my pocket. And if I could convince just 30% of the employees to do that, how do you think they're going to fire all these mechanics that are hard to find in the aerospace business?
Wow. So you actually had people who've been removed for making, threats or for threatening behavior there.
Yes, in a military base. It's not a military base. It's a military contractor that's outside, the military areas. But they still build major sections and portions of these helicopters that are ultimately used to go out into Muslim countries and used to protect America's interests. So where else is somebody going to attack?
And you fully understand that by carrying there, you are risking your job.
Yes, I do it anyway. Just from exact stories like you just mentioned, like the Luby's person, and just recently what happened about the woman. I don't want to be sitting there reaching for that place that I always carry, and they go, it's not there. Why? Oh, because I was dumb enough to leave it in a vehicle.
It's interesting you say it that way, because that's exactly what Susanna Hupp said. She says, I couldn't believe that I was dumb enough to leave my gun in the truck to actually obey the law, and it got my parents killed. So I'm there with you, Joe. I understand exactly what you're saying. Hey, continue to be safe. Thank you for the call, sir. Matthew's in Tulsa on line 5. Matthew, you're up on Gun Talk.
Hello, sir. A privilege and honor to speak to you. Got a gun story for you that might give you a little giggle.
Okay.
A few years ago, after I got out of the service, I took a job in Oklahoma City driving a taxi. Now, I used to work in the area known as Gatewood, which has been rated as the 5th most dangerous neighborhood in America, but that was where the money was. Well, I picked up one day at the little nursing home, and this little old lady, just as sweet as she could be, she got in the cab and said she wanted to go to the market. Okay, no problem. So I'm taking her to the market, and she can't find her money. When we got her there, now technically I'm supposed to call the cops if somebody doesn't have the money, but this woman, she reminded me of Aunt Bee on the old Mayberry show. She was just a sweet, rosy-cheeked little thing you ever saw. So I was pulled over, and I said, well, ma'am, you take your time, go through your purse. You can't find the money. This ride is compliments of the yellow cab, and we appreciate your business. I'm not going to put this lady in jail, for God's sake.
Right.
So she says, if I could just empty my purse, I just know it's in here somewhere. I said, take your time. Meter's not running. So she started digging through her purse. Says, here's my pictures of my grandkids. Here's my heart medicine. Here's my high cholesterol medicine. Here's my Colt 45 Desert Eagle. Huh? What was that?
Say what?
Yeah, I turned around. Now, you think I was polite before. I'm real polite now, because she's sitting there holding a beautiful Colt 45. And I said, ma'am, that's a beautiful weapon you've got there. And I said, would you like to see it, sweetheart? I says, well, with your permission, of course. I said, not a problem. She drops the clip, grabs it with one hand, grabs it with the other, yanks the slide back, catches the round into the chamber in midair with one hand, puts the bullet back in the chamber, releases the slide, brings it forward, puts her thumb on the hammer, squeezes the trigger, brings it forward slowly, spins it around by the trigger guard, and hands it to me butt first. I'm like,
Holy
dang, you do know what you're doing with that thing, don't you?
That is a great story. Holy cow. Well, did she end up finding her money?
No, this was long before we had concealed carry in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
So I said, ma'am, aren't you afraid that you'll go to jail for carrying a weapon like that? What are you getting to do with that? I said, next son of a yang that tries to steal my purse, I'm going to blow him right out of his socks.
Well, there you go. Great story. I love that. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. Oh, we had a caller that wanted to know, he wanted to make a donation to Knife Rights and said doesn't have a computer. Now, if you have a computer, kniferights.org. But if you don't, here's a P.O. Box. P.O. Box 657, Gilbert, Arizona. Again, P.O. Box 657, Gilbert, Arizona, 85299. It's 85299. Give it that one more time. Knife Rights. P.O. Box 657, Gilbert, Arizona, 85299. All right. 866-TALK-GUN, or just call me at Tom Talk Gun. Tell me about the first time you went shooting with your dad. Also, I want to know what kind of safety lessons. How did your dad teach you gun safety? Any particular examples that stuck with you? 866-TALK-GUN.
FN, the world's most battle-proven firearms. You want to reach for history, for greatness. So reach for the FN57, a 5.7 millimeter pistol built with the DNA of over a century of legendary FN firearms. And now, it's within reach at your local firearms dealer. The FN57 is the perfect combination of accuracy and stopping power. FN, the world's most battle-proven firearms.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime. Setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at timneytriggers.com.
Want great deals on guns, ammunition, and gear? Download the free Gundealio app today. With Gundealio, you can search for deals, listen to the Gun Talk podcast, watch gun videos, read gun news, and get notifications right to your phone about deals and special offers. Save money on the products you want from the companies you love. New deals, discounts, and rebates added daily. Gundealio, available for free in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, this is Ryan Gresham with Gun Talk. Visit guntalk.com/win to enter our latest giveaway. This month, it's the Springfield Armory St. Victor rifle in .308. The St. Victor is a lightweight AR-10 weighing in at just 7.8 pounds and features a 16-inch barrel, M-LOK free float handguard, and flip-up sights. Enter now through June 28th at guntalk.com/win.
Well, as you might imagine, I had a lot of interesting, great hunting trips with my dad. Hunted all over the country. One of the hard parts, talk about hard to measure up, Dad was a natural athlete. He batted .522 in college. He was, just one of those guys. He could do any kind of sport, three-letter guy. And when it came to wing shooting, forget it. You're not going to beat him. Just not. Never practiced, never shot much. He did that trap shooting game for about 2 years and then didn't do it anymore. He would shoot clay birds once a year, maybe. That's it. He needed to go out and beat everybody when he got a chance. It was very interesting. And watching him shoot quail or pheasants or woodcock or whatever, it was humbling. He was that good. Line 2, John's with us out of Claremore, Oklahoma. Talk about your quail hunting areas. Hello, John. You're on Gun Talk.
Hi, Tom. I wanted to tell you about my first hunt with my dad. I was about 12 years old, and dad and grandfather. And we were hunting rabbits, walking the railroad tracks. And, of course, a rabbit pops up on the tracks, and Dad and I each shouldered our rifles. And Dad was wanting me to take the first shot, but, I mean, we hadn't talked about it. And I'm thinking, well, this rabbit is way closer to Dad than it is to me. It's his shot. And, of course, we both stood there for 2 or 3 seconds, and rabbit ran away. So we both put our rifles down and looked at each other like, why didn't you take the shot? Oh, well. But it was a good time.
Good times, good memories, right? It's something special about those outdoor activities that are great memories. Hunting, fishing too, competition shooting, just going out to the range and shooting stuff. You know, rolling tin cans. I mean, it's all good fun. It really is.
Years until your radio show and brought that back.
That is great. Thank you, John. I appreciate you passing that along. Steve's in Terry, Mississippi on 4. Hello, Steve. You're on Gun Talk.
Welcome, or I may say thank you, Tom, but
you bet.
I'm a member of your club.
What's that?
We are Munchkin Loaders.
So you were slave labor also?
Killed by the thousands. My dad was a part-time competitive, never full-time trap shooter. I've been up to Vandalia several times, and this is back in the mid-50s to maybe the very early 70s. And if you were up there, I don't know if you hung around, you and your dad, you'd have known my dad. He had a Browning Broadway with blonde bird's eye maple hardware.
Ooh.
And he started out in the 50s as an A shooter, and probably mid-60s he's a double A. I know for sure his vest has a 10,000 straight patch on it.
Holy cow.
Brother still got it, and I think it's got 100,000 straight.
That's a serious shooter right there. I guarantee you. Look, I've got to keep running. We got all sorts of people calling in here with good stories, and I sure appreciate that, Steve. Thank you. I want to drop all the way down to line 3, if you would, guys. So let's pick up Rhonda in North Carolina. Hello, Rhonda. You're on Gun Talk. You got a story for us?
I sure do. My father taught me how to use a .45 when I was 9 years old. He took a piece of 2x4 about a foot long, threw it in the lake, and said, shoot till you hit it. I've been a gun advocate, a NRA member, and now I carry the concealed permit.
Wow. Your dad got you started early on. It stayed with you, didn't it?
He did, and I bird hunted with him. I deer hunted, and I hunted with my former husband. I could outshoot him. I shot my deer in the neck. I never had to hunt one down afterwards, and he lost a few.
That is great, Rhonda. You're a heck of a woman. Thank you so much for sharing your dad's story with us. That's wonderful. Again, I appreciate that very much. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. We're going to continue this on the backside of this, so if you got a story to share, by all means do that. It's a way that we celebrate our dads. We like to say thanks. For, to a large extent, we are who we are because of our parents. And it's that whole nature-nurture deal. But these are wonderful stories. I love hearing them, love telling them. Again, 866-TALK-GUN. I was thinking about Father's Day. My dad, I was looking at the picture that he had, one of his pictures, in one of his many, many articles, probably thousands of magazine articles that he wrote. And it's me, probably 9 years old, 10 years old, shooting from a sitting position with my little Browning .22 rifle. He had a high standard pistol with him. and I'm shooting left-handed. And he's talking about in the article about look for left eye dominance. He spotted that early on for me and got me started shooting left-handed, which worked out very well. And now we routinely check shooters for left eye dominance. So just one of those things. I have so many stories, so many memories of my dad that involved shooting guns. Of course, we had guns everywhere. He was a really good shot. He was able to pass that along. But he passed along to me. It was interesting. He was competitive without being aggressively competitive, if that makes sense. He liked to shoot trap. Went to the Grand American, took me with him. I remember seeing Roy Rogers shooting trap at the Grand American Trap Shoot when I was just a kid. I thought that was very cool. Just exposed me to the world. And I know that there are so many different pressures, so many opportunities for kids now, whether it's electronic or organized, scheduled kids. One of the things I like about guns and shooting is it's not as scheduled. It's not like we have, dance class here and we've got, this thing at, this time, we've got to be there. You go out and you do it at your own pace. Sporting clays is a great example. You just walk the trails, do that. A thought for you, and I know, a lot of people are going to hear this after Father's Day. Doesn't matter, whenever. If you're a dad, turn around and take your kids out shooting, whether they're adults or younger. If your dad's around and you can, how about going out shooting with him? Take him out. You say, yeah, I know, he lives out of town. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, I know. You cannot imagine how much it might mean to him. If you guys used to do that, yeah, I get it. It may take a lot of effort. You cannot imagine what that could mean to him to go do that with you. The gift is time. Because time is the commodity we all have an absolute same amount of. We don't know how much we're going to have. But nobody's time is worth more than anybody else's time. We all have the same amount. You may have more dollars or fewer dollars, but we have time. And whatever it is you spend your time on, that tells the world what's important to you. Time spent with, that's the important thing. So I would just say, if you could do that, pull it off. Maybe you can go out and do a little shooting, maybe some hunting, maybe just sit with Dad and talk about some of the guns. Tell me about the stories. Tell me about this. What did you do with this? Do you remember the time? Might be a good idea to get out the recorder, get out that phone, shoot the video. In the meantime, just kind of think about the whole idea of what it means to be a shooting family and what goes along with that. The responsibility, I guess, allowing youngsters to have access to guns and training them acknowledges in them that what you think of them, that you think they're ready. You're not babying them. You don't have any 35-year-olds living at home when they get raised shooting, I don't think. I just don't think that happens. Well, in the meantime, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Thank you for everything that you have done. I have great kids, and they have both contacted me today, so we appreciate that. In the meantime, go out and do a little bit of shooting. Take your dad with you. Take your kids with you. Take your family with you. It's a family sport. Remember, it just had 8,000 kids shoot 1 million rounds. That's fun. Do some more of that. We'll see you next week.